how I created a paper collage painting. You'll see the first steps of how I drew up a plan, then cut out shapes to form a pleasing composition, glue it all down, and then the final touches with paint. Now, if you're new to my channel, I'm Maureen White, and I love sharing my tips and tricks with folks, and hopefully you'll get a little inspiration. So now I'm going to head on over to the art table, and I'll see you there. Here are a list of the materials. You can use a canvas board, or you can use a deep canvas like I did, which mine is 9 by 12. You'll need painted papers, a plain white sheet of paper, a pencil, a pair of scissors, an old brush for gluing. You'll need some acrylic paints, and I chose a variety of reds. I used Liquitex Super Heavy Gel Medium. You could also use Elmer's. And then I used oil pastels. Now, to begin my collage, I need to start with a plan. I need to have some idea of where I am going to go with this piece. And my source of inspiration is going to be the New York skyline. And I have been thinking of all my friends back east. I lived back there for quite some time, and I cannot imagine going through the virus living back in New York City. I am most impressed with the outpouring of the medical world as they take care of their fellow citizens. So I dedicate this piece to them. As I begin, I'm going to make lines that represent a wave, and as though I'm standing on the New Jersey side looking into Manhattan. Now I'm going to create buildings that are all geometric in shape, and there are three basic sizes or styles that I do of the buildings. One is just a block rectangle. Another one is there are often buildings in Manhattan that have a slanted roof on them. And then there are the ones that I call the stair-step buildings, like this one. And now I'm going to put some buildings behind and some in front, giving it a layered look. Now that I have a plan that can guide me through my collage, I'm going to get started on cutting out the different shapes of the buildings using the various papers that I created in the first video. Now, the first thing I did to my canvas is I turned it over and I sponged some water onto the surface of the canvas so that it would become taut. Because when I use the oil pastels to scribble on top, you need, it needs to be rather firm if you can get it that way. So these marks are going to go all over the top of the canvas and then onto the sides. That out. That's the lighter red. And this is my crimson. That should do it. Now, I did not tell you that I brought this bubble wrap back that I used in part one. I'm going to use this. I'm going to put the paint on, and I'm going to keep the paint with a lot of water in it, almost like watercolor, because I want that crayon to show through. And then I'm going to put the bubble wrap on there. So here goes. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Looks like I want that. Now, I'm looking on my screen and it looks like you're probably seeing it darker than I am actually seeing it. So I'm going to make it a little darker. Maybe even a little darker. You're saying there. Now I'm ready to put the paint on the canvas, and you want this to be fairly watery. I mean, it's still thicker than watercolor, but, and then you place the bubble wrap over it. I got the shade of red that I wanted. I fill up the whole canvas that way, and I'll do the bubble wrap at the end. And this is the canvas is very wet, and I can go back over it here and straighten out those overlaps. Okay, that's fairly straightforward, and I hope that makes sense to you. Now I'm going to clean up, and I'm going to get ready for the paper cutting. Now I've taken the black paper, and I want that to be the waves of the Hudson River because I think that the black will help weight the composition down. And I'm going to turn it over, and because it's easier to see the lines, and just practice a few of the wavy lines, and then I'll pick one that I'll just cut out loosely, okay? Now I really like the way that the black looks against the red, but I'm going to add a little more color, and I'm going to take the pink and lay the black wave down on top of the pink paper, okay, so that I can get the contour of that black wave line. I'm going to take my pencil and draw up above that black line, or, you know, above the wave, and that's going to show. But now I'm going to draw a line that is beneath the line that I just drew, so that the black wave has something to sit on, okay? I don't have to match up the pink and the black perfectly. The pink is going to sit down below the black when I glue it on. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, so you can see, I think that pink with the black will really pop on the red. Now the next job I have is to cut out the buildings out of all the various papers. Now remember, my buildings are just long rectangles or short. Some of them have the staircase look, and others have a slanted top. And I'll probably put a few in that show the dimension of the side of the building. So I'll do this on all the papers and just make myself a nice little collection in which to create my composition. Okay, I've reorganized myself a little bit, and I cut a few more buildings out. Some of them are glued down, some are not. But, you know, the papers get to be so much up here and all the scraps. I kind of cleaned it off, and here we go again. So I'm going to start with this section right here and move them down. and this section right here and move them down. And I did decide that my Empire State Building would be this orange paper here. So I'm going to start with that because it's the furthest back. And I put it here on my glue sheet. And just I'm going to add a little bit of water to that. Now, the gluing of the papers does take a while, and it's a very tedious process. And what I always try to make sure is that I run my brush with the glue over the sides of the paper so that all the edges are well glued. And then with this tall Empire State Building, putting that needle down, you know, it doesn't want to stay because it's nice and narrow, and I just keep putting my fingers back on it, put a little glue down in there. Now, obviously, when you do that, the glue is now onto the paint, which is okay because you can paint over the glue when it dries. Sometimes the glue will actually dry clear and there isn't a problem, but I'm putting it on pretty thick. So it probably will have a little bit of a white cast to it, but like I said, I'll just paint over that. So you go building by building and try to do the ones in the back first and then build up the layers on top of the buildings in the back. Now once I begin to place the buildings down, I do rearrange them because I think what's important is to find a good balance with your colors. So you wouldn't want to put all your blacks on one side and all your light colors on the other side. You want to balance out the colors within the composition, you know. So if I put a black over here on the right, I'm going to make sure that I have maybe one is there by the Empire State Building, and then I'll put a few smaller over on the left. So the whole time you're gluing, you're making decisions about where to put the different colored shapes. Now some of these pieces are having a hard time laying down onto the canvas, so I just went and put the glue over did you see, right over the edge of the building and on top of it. And I'm not worried about that because like I said, I can paint. I can add more black paint to those small black buildings there. And like I said, sometimes it just all dries and goes away. It just depends. But anyway, that's what I call the touch-up at the very end. Now I'm ready to put down the waves of the Hudson River. And you can see how having that line across the bottom of the buildings, it kind of weights the whole city scene down. And I like that it's black. It just grounds it a little bit. Anyway, now for the whole thing to dry, and then I'll follow up with painting the sides of the canvas and then putting our angel on. Now that I see all the buildings glued down, my eye is telling me that that red background needs to get a little darker. So I'm going to put a first layer. You see that I did that down at the bottom of the waves and now around the edges. And I'll probably let this dry, and then I'll come back at the very end and put more paint on. Now the next step in the process here is to deal with the sides of the canvas. So I need to put paint on all four of those, and I'll start out with a light and a dark red together. You'll see that now as all the papers are glued down to form the cityscape, I really think that that sky needs to be darkened up a little bit. So I'm going to darken the whole piece with the crimson red and probably a little bit of my magenta that I have. As I apply the paint, especially over the front here, and make it darker, it's going to be a challenge to not lose the texture of the bubble wrap that I created. But I think if I put the paint on thin enough and do it in several layers, it'll be just fine. So here I go. Now I've slowed the video down so you can actually see how the bubble wrap texture is coming through on the sides. Now the sides are right now lighter than the top of the painting. So once I do the sides, I'm going to let them dry, and now I'm going to go in and really work on the front of the painting, trying to make that red a little bit darker. So now that I have a lot of the top done, I'm going to go back to the sides and make them darker. So this is the second coat on there. And I'm not using the light paint at all, just the crimson and the magenta. And you can see that I think that those, the crayon still shows through when I put the bubble wrap on it, which I'm pleased about. I like that the texture is uniform on the sides and the top. as I've been working on the collage, I've been thinking about the city and how it's suffering right now. But most importantly, I've just so admired the medical people who have been there to help others out. So it seemed natural to me to represent them with an angel flying through this city. So I've done a small drawing of the angel, and I'm going to use her to help me cut out an angel from the painted papers. Now I'm going to think about this angel. I have the drawing done, and I'm going to cut out the angel in two pieces. The first one is the body, which includes the head, the hands, the trumpet, and the feet. That is going to be all one piece of paper. And then I'll cut out the wings on a different colored paper. Now to begin this, I'm going to take the drawing that I did, and I'm going to flip over the paper. And on the back side of this paper, where that body is, I'm going to take a pencil and just rub the back of the paper with graphite. I kind of circle around there so I know where it is. And I just rub really hard with this pencil on the back of that angel. When I flip the paper over, it's going to allow me to then trace or draw the image right onto the green painted paper that I'm going to use. Now I want to find where on that paper I think the color is right for the body. So I think I'm going to move it around a little bit. Okay, that looks like it might work. Now I take my pencil and I just draw over the line of the body and over the halo there and all the way down. I'll make sure I get that trumpet in and come around. Actually, you know what I'm thinking is that the feet are going to be pink. They're not going to be the green. And I'll probably add those on. So now I'll just cut out the angel body out of the green paper. I think pink will be a good color for her wings. And then I'm also decided that I'm going to make her two little feet and her two hands pink as well. I think that will kind of balance her out a little bit as far as. The next step is to cut out a shape for her hair and for her face. Now her hair, I've chosen this nice orange paper which has a lot of texture on it. And then the next one will be I'll lay her down on a piece of pink paper and cut out her face and get those glued on to that part of her body. Now I have the angel complete. I've added the two pink feet, the hands, the angel wings, and you'll see that I also decided to give this angel a heart. And the reason I did that is because, I think every nurse has a big heart, at least an open one. You have to when you deal with people all the time, and doctors as well. So now I'm just adding a little bit of gold paint because they have a heart of gold. And I'll repeat the gold on her sleeves and give her a golden trumpet. With the angel finished, I now have her on to the picture. And the last thing that I'm going to do is I want to make my Empire State Building a little brighter. So I'm adding some very light yellow to it. It kind of reminds me of all the lights shining in the building. So, and that yellow I just thought was too bland against the red. So therefore I think the white really makes the building glow a little bit. The final step is to add a layer or two of satin varnish. That will protect both the paint and the oil pastel. Hi, I hope you enjoyed that video. And if you've made a paper collage and you want to share with me some of your tips and tricks, please leave a comment down below. And I hope you'll give it a try if this is something new for you. And if you got good content out of my video, please press that like button. And if you want to keep up with all my videos, please subscribe to my channel. And don't be shy like Archie here. He's trying to get used to the camera. Yes, you can do it. You can leave a comment. Don't be shy. Take care now. I'll see you in the next one.